go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen with you. Kendra or can somebody fix it so I can share my screen, please?
Kendra, could you provide Rocco with sharing
I got it.
screen
Thank you.
ability? Oh, okay,
You just
great.
did. Thank you.
you.
So we use Zoom a lot, and Zoom has just changed some of their features. So sorry about that technical difficulty. Whoops, let's get started here. We're going to get started. We're going to have a lot of information to cover today, and I'm excited that everybody is here because I know everybody is living busy lives, and right now with the shelter in place, and probably wherever you're calling in from, you're probably experiencing shelter in place, regardless of the country. We're all here feeling the impact of COVID-19. And I'm hoping and I'm wishing that everybody on this call and those that will join soon are all well, safe, and your family are well as also, because this is nothing to be messing around with. Just as a note for just kind of housekeeping rules, if you could just mute your microphones, if they should be already muted. At the end, we'll have a time for Q&A, question and answers. So if you have questions that come up, jot them down. I probably will answer them as we go through this presentation, but if I don't, then let's have that conversation at the end. You will be able to chat your questions if you don't want to have us hear your voice. For the courageous ones, I applaud you for showing your video. I know that not everybody can do that. Maybe you're not in a place where you can show your face, but that's okay. And I'm just really excited that you guys are all here. My name is Rocco Lamana. I'm the Associate Dean, and I'm going to be walking you through our programs. There's a lot of new changes that you may have heard about, and if you're not, you're going to get kind of the first go around of it. These changes that I'm going to be talking about and this information is really not all on our website yet. We're working to get it on there. It's a little bit of a process, but it will be, and I'm happy to answer questions later on, like I said, or even after this call today. Joining me on this conversation is going to be Chu Kim. She's the Assistant Director for Admissions and Counseling. She's going to be my backup support. She's going to be able to either answer questions, but she's also going to talk a little bit about the admissions process, financial aids, and things like that you're also going to be interested in. Okay, let's get started. So, we have a lot of people attending, and if I have the opportunity to ask each of you, like, how did you really learn about Golden Gate University and what's drawing you to it? Typically, you either know somebody who's gone through the program or maybe you found it in doing research. Either way, you've probably done quite a bit of research to get to this point, whether it's having conversations with somebody or actually just doing a lot of internet research. And so we want to make sure that you see the reasons why Golden Gate University should be high on your list of options for a degree, especially one in accounting. Excuse me, one moment. Classroom experience. Our classrooms are small in size, so you don't have a lot of class, you're not a lot of students. You may have gone through an undergraduate program where you had classes of 100 students or more. I've been in those situations in my undergraduate program. But here, the classroom size is 10 to 14, which really makes it a nice, intimate experience. Pardon me. A nice, intimate experience so that you can dialogue with your classmates as well as your professor, whether that's online, web conferencing, or in person. So we have 3 modes, and I'm going to go into that a little bit more in detail later on. So I'm going to set the tone for other things to come. The materials. This is real world materials. And this is one of the reasons why we're always changing and developing our programs, because the industry changes and we want to make sure that we're on top of that. You're going to see in this new format that we've added several courses on analytics, and that the accounting degree kind of moves away from the more traditional accounting focused courses, but brings those in and builds them upon analytical type courses, which you really need to know as you're going into the practice now, because analytics, and data analytics rather, is playing a big role. We have great relationships with the firms in and around our campus, but even beyond that, because we have alumni that extend beyond our city, beyond California, into other states, other countries, India, Pakistan, China, Japan. Those are just some of the countries where I know our students and alumni reside and work. And it's really great that you're joining us here because we have some people from outside the country. Faculty, our faculty is phenomenal. We're always adding new adjuncts in who bring in a unique skill set so that we keep fresh with our content and also with the materials that you're learning, but also the experiences that they bring to the classroom. We have full-time faculty, we have adjuncts that bring in the industry experience. And that's important because we're not talking about theory. We're talking about how do you put concepts into practice. And that's what most people want to know is, well, great that you're teaching me this concept, but how do I use it? How is it going to be used in the industry? And they bring in those case study experiences that you get to work on so that you can really put into practice the concepts you're learning in each one of your classes. We offer an extensive amount of, I should say, accounting courses. I don't know why I forget to change that slide. It should say accounting courses. So we have a lot of different courses you can pique your interest in. And you're going to see some of those, whether it's leadership, data analytics, CPA courses. If you're thinking about studying for the CPA, we have a new set of CPA courses that you're going to be interested in. And I'm so excited. I just want to get to the end now because I want you to share all this good stuff with you. And then, what makes this relevant in the world? And I think that's really key. What makes Golden Gate University relevant? What makes us relevant is that we're recognized by other organizations and institutions for the excellence in academics. You can see information about Top in Tax, which is rates accounting and tax programs. And we're top 5 in the last poll that we saw in 2018. We haven't seen the 2019 data yet. Best online programs, that's imperative because the way of the world is online. And we're going to talk about web conferencing, which is our new version of kind of online delivery. And then adult learners. All of you are coming in with some level of experience. You're probably not fresh out of undergraduate school, but if you are, that's okay. But you've gone through college already. So you're considered an adult learner. You've already experienced that. You're probably in the profession or doing something around accounting. And now this just adds to your level. But adult learners want to know why they're learning what they're learning and how it's going to be applied. So there's a very unique thing about adult learners, as well as the resources and support services that you may need in order to get through a program. I know when I was going through my master's and then my doctorate, with children and all those things that kind of come into your life, you're still trying to move along, but how do you do that with all the other outside factors, work and family and friends and whatever else that might be in your orbit? So that's really key because we understand that there's a lot going on. What are some of the benefits of about our Masters of Science in Accounting, Data, and Analytics? You have rewarding career opportunities. I always say, if you want to get a job, you can find a job because Golden Gate University has a resource of employers who are always recruiting from us. So if you're looking for public accounting, which is really where a lot of our students go, just because it's the biggest sector that recruits from us, but we also have private sector companies recruiting from us, government agencies, primarily state and local here in California recruit from us. And then nonprofits are also looking for a level of expertise in organizations. And as I said earlier, this is a vast and changing program and as well as industry. I currently have a student, and I'm going to share this with you, who's doing an internship in a marijuana organization. And so an organization that deals with cannabis, right? It's a cannabis organization. It's legitimate, it's a business. But as these new businesses come into the marketplace, they have to have accountants. How do you deal with federal and state regulations, ones that are pro-cannabis and those that are not? And how do you get, banking and financing and all those things for growth opportunities that non-cannabis type businesses would need. So these are some of the unique things that our students are getting to experience with. We got high placement rate with the big fours. If you're in San Francisco, we're like connected with big fours. They're like, they like surround us. So they're really close. But there's other types of industry. And I say, keep your mind open and exploring opportunities. If you live in another country, if you live outside the state, these opportunities are available to you regardless. You don't have to physically come to campus for a lot of these things that I'm talking about. You have academic and professional support and networking systems. Again, the recruitment from the professional community. A lot of these professors are coming from, or all of our adjuncts are coming from the professional community. So you're developing a network by just being in their class, as well as our full-time faculty. And then there's support services and mentoring that really we kind of like wrap around you to make sure that you have what you need when you need it to be successful. Often a question I get is, where do you students get jobs? So this is the most recent diagram that I have. This shows what we call a cohort. A cohort is students who have graduated within a certain year time frame. And this is the 2018, 2019, I think, cohort. So it's the most recent one that we surveyed. And here you can see where our students are working. The larger the circle, the more employees from Golden Gate University. One of the other ways I tell students to find out about our alumni is to go to LinkedIn. You can do certain filter options to look for people who graduated from any of our graduate accounting programs and see where they're at and what level of a position they have. What are their titles and where are they at in their organizations? So these are just some of the ones that recruit from us also, just happens to be. But you'll see that we have a variety of different students in different employment fields, from the big four to other smaller size public firms, mid-sized, global, national, private, Kaiser, for example, PG&E, and then we also have state, California State, and I think we have some nonprofits. I don't see a nonprofit in here, but I don't see a nonprofit, but we do have people at nonprofits. So this is really not for summer. So whether you've been speaking to maybe Chu about your interest in our program, she maybe have been updating you about this. So it's our Master of Science in Accounting, Data, and Analytics. And it is a 30-unit graduate degree. So it's 30 units. There are some proficiencies and there are some foundation courses, and we're going to go through all of this in detail. So here's kind of a general high-level overview. There are actually, it's not 9 units of proficiencies, it should be 6. I didn't adjust that screen. It is economics and intermediate algebra. So you need to have, for our program, you need to have a proficiencies in either micro or macro, and you also need to have intermediate algebra. If any of the courses in the proficiencies or foundations you haven't had, you can take them here through us. We will also accept community college transcripts in lieu of some of these foundation courses and proficiencies. Then there's 15 unit of accounting proficiencies. And again, my next slides will go into a little bit more detail. And notice everything is kind of blocked because the next block is actually a standalone certificate. So the whole degree is all of these components built together, but you can start anywhere. For example, maybe you don't want to do the master's degree and maybe you want to do the CPA Applied Accounting Certificate at the bottom. You can start there. There's 12 units in there. And then decide later, okay, you know, I think I'm going to come back and do my master's degree. Then you can add those 12 units to for your degree, and those would be your elective units that you get to be. And then that means you only have 18 more units to complete, which would come from the analytics, accounting data and analytics certificate, 12 units, and then 6 units from this purple area, which is going to be a list of courses that you get to choose 2 from. All of our classes are 3 units, by the way, if I didn't say that. So you can start anywhere, which is nice because it makes it flexible, and it kind of meets you where you're at in the moment. And everybody's kind of like nervous, like, well, how is this, you know, shelter in place going to impact me at work? How is this going to impact my ability to take classes? We're going to address some of that. And the work thing I can't really address because that's very individualized, but we're going to talk about how the COVID-19 has shifted how we teach and deliver the programs. Okay, so let's get into more details. As I said earlier, the accounting proficiencies and the foundation courses, these are in addition to the 30 unit degree. So the graduate degree itself is 30 units. These courses you can bring in from a regionally accredited college, university here in the United States, or community college in the United States. The Math 20 is is basic algebra, and then Econ 1 or Econ 2, these are our code number names for micro or macro. The foundation courses are those courses that you need to have in order to really understand the more advanced topics. If you don't have these, it's going to be kind of difficult, right? So we want to set you up for success. We're not going to tell you, just start with your first class and you figure it out. No, you're not. You're going to have a foundation. So you have an undergraduate degree in accounting already from a US school, college, or university. You've already probably taken these courses. Or some of you might have been taking the courses at a community college as you developed your interest in accounting. Those can come over as well. So we have financial accounting, managerial accounting. We have intermediate accounting 1, intermediate accounting 2, and auditing. Those 5 courses, 15 units, lay the foundation for your graduate program. So they're kind of the bottom of a pyramid, if you will. They lay the landscape for what you're going to learn and build upon. If you haven't taken these courses, you can take them here at Golden Gate University. Or again, they come from a undergraduate degree or your community college courses, perhaps. You have to have a B or higher in these 15 units, these accounting foundations, to bring them in, because we want to make sure you have a solid understanding of the concepts that each and one of these courses covers. For the proficiencies, those 6 units there, C- or higher is fine for us. Okay, so the first chunk, if you're doing the degree, the first certificate in the degree, it doesn't necessarily mean that this is how you start, but that certificate is a standalone certificate. Maybe this is where you want to start. You want a certificate in accounting, research, and analytics. The reason for this certificate is that analytics, as I said earlier, is a huge push in accounting firms. Whether you're a major Big Four firm or you're even a mid-sized, mid-tier firm, you're going to be seeing analytics. So we want to make sure that you have the knowledge. So accounting, research, and communication is one of the courses in this block of 12 units. And each of our courses, again, are 3 units, semester units. We're on a semester unit, I should say that. The Accounting 336 is launching for the first time in summer. It is an analytics course, data analytics. It's your introductory course in analytics. It's going to build an understanding about analytics, and it's going to give you practical experience on how analytics is used in the profession. This is being developed by one of our adjuncts who is working in analytics and accounting for a major company. It's not an accounting firm. It's actually an analytics firm that does this type of work. And then we have another adjunct who's working with him on this course and in some of our other analytic courses, and he's from EY. So we're bringing in the talent because we want to make sure that you know how to use this the way the profession is using it. And so why not bring in those people that have that experience? Communication and analysis of financial information is another one that uses analytics. It takes more of the Excel spreadsheet perspective. It has you extracting data from actual reports and industry information, and then manipulate it through a different advanced Excel top equations and what's the word I'm trying to think of, formatting. So this is a kind of another analytics, more focused on Excel spreadsheets. And then the automation and innovative technology, another new course. This one's coming from, again, EY and another adjunct faculty who works in the industry. And this is what they're working on, like robotics and AI, and how are those things being used in decision-making and creating efficiencies in firms and organizations. So you're going to get that experience. So again, you can do that 12-unit by itself. And then later on, if you decide you're going to do the degree, you can add on another 6 units or 2 classes. This is just a sample of some of the classes that you can choose from. If you're looking to sit for the CPA here in California, Accounting Professionals Responsibility and Ethics is a key class that you need to satisfy the 10 units of ethics. So this will satisfy 3 of the 10 units. This is 3 units that they do mandate you have a course in. So this is developed to satisfy that requirement here in California. If you're in another state, it's probably not needed, but it's always good to have an ethics course. It can never hurt you, and you probably can use it in some part of your CPA licensing process. We're developing a leadership for accounting and tax professionals because leadership is an important piece for you to start to develop a skill set and the competencies for advancement. And this is actually going to be is being developed by a former VP of tax from Levi Strauss, and he's been teaching leadership classes at other universities, and he's now going to be teaching it at our school here in the fall or spring term. I'm not sure when we have that class going to be launched. Then accounting information systems is again looking at the different information systems that are used in accounting and how they're using the information from, or the data set, the data from these different systems to make decisions, to form decisions. And then we're developing 2 other classes, one on digital assets and blockchain, which I'm sure you probably have heard about. Is kind of, you know, this new thing, not so new for blockchain and digital assets, but it's relatively new in how accounting firms are kind of grappling with it and how they're working with it, to how they're using it to make decisions and better decisions to help their clients or their own firms. Okay, now, so I started at the top. Here are the foundations and the proficiencies, and then we went to the meat of the degree, the 12-unit certificate in analytics, 6 units of optional courses, elective courses, you can, not elective courses, yeah, you can take. So that builds the 18 units that if you're doing the master's degree, or you can do this 12 unit by itself as a certificate. And then you have 18 units, then you need 12 more units. Those are your elective courses. They can come from any of these different certificates. You can take a course from each one of them, or you can complete an entire certificate that will equal the 12 units you need to get to the 30 units for your degree. So this is a degree, like I said, it's flexible. You can start at the bottom, you can start in the middle, you can start just about anywhere, as long as you meet the prerequisites for these courses, it works. The CPA Applied Accounting Certificate, I'm really excited about this one, because what we're going to be doing is training you to pass the CPA exam, regardless of the state here in the United States. Regardless of the state, the exams are pretty much the same, right? The same requirements. So you can take this class. We're using actually a well-known accounting prep service course program that our professor has been working with for 25 years, and he's going to be teaching this. The classes are going to be available via Zoom web conferencing, and they will also be available in person once we get beyond the shelter in place. They're not going to be in place right now, but once we get that lifted, you will be able to attend classes in person. There are 4 classes in a set. The 4 courses in this set mirror the exams. Once you've completed a course, you should be able to sit for the CPA in that area. For example, financial accounting and reporting is going to be the first one that we launch. It'll start on July 1st in our summer term. And so once you finish that course, you should know whether or not you're going to pass that exam, because the materials and the resources you're going to have access to are simulated exams that you would be sitting for the CPA. So once you've gone through several of those, you should know well where you're going to land when you actually take the exam. And that's for all 4 of those courses. And we've set it up so that you can complete all 4 courses in about 12 months to 2 to 3 terms at the most. So the first course is going to be offered in July. Then the next 2 courses will be offered in our fall term. So our fall term, or all of our terms, are 15 weeks, but we also have small terms or half terms. So we have a 7.5-week term that starts at the beginning, and then we have one that starts about halfway in the middle, and ends, that's our C term. So we have a B term and a C term. These courses are going to run on these half terms. So on the first half, it'll be either BEC or auditing, and then whatever one does not go first will go second in the other half. So you'll knock off, potentially if you start with our summer course, you will knock off 3 by December. 3 of the 4 exams you could potentially take. Well, you won't be able to take them that soon, but you'll be prepared to take them as soon as you can. And then we'll finish with the last one with regulation in the spring term, which is spring 2021. I'm not sure the date when that's going to be offered, but it will be offered in the 7.5-week term. And you'll meet twice a week for 3 hours each class meeting. Again, you can take it web conferencing like we're doing today. And then when we are able to return to campus, we'll be offering them in person as well. The advanced accounting certificate, if you're thinking like, I just want more knowledge around very specialized topics, here's a sample of some of those courses. There will be more that will be offered in there. There'll be 12 units and you'll get to select some of them. Some of the courses we're going to pull in from our business school, the Ageno School of Business. So we'll have a list and it will be up on the website once everything is finalized. But examples, advanced accounting topics or issues in modern management. So we're going to be pulling in a lot of different options for you to choose from. We will also have a certificate in tax. If you're thinking, I want to use my knowledge and skill set in accounting, but I want to do some tax. Let's bring those two together. It makes a perfect pairing, like a food, like good wine and good food, or good dessert and good dessert wine comes together nicely because you're going to be doing a lot of crossover work. You need to understand something about tax, US tax, and accounting, and bringing those two knowledge sets together is very powerful. So here's a sample or here are the 4 courses that are going to be included in this 12-unit certificate program. And again, you notice the coding on this is TA, whereas in the other courses, I use the coding, which is accounting. So these come from different schools. And so the coding, the letter coding, is relevant to the school. So these are the tax classes that our Masters of Science and Taxation students take. So you're going to be sitting with them. So you're going to be getting into the deep end of tax, just like our Masters of Science in Taxation students are. And then this is new. It is a certificate in accounting and business analytics. We're going to be using courses from the data analytics program, which is a Masters of Science in business analytics. And we're going to bring in those courses so that you can then even build upon your knowledge of analytics and how to use it in the profession beyond the courses that we're providing you. These courses are not specific to accounting, the accounting profession, but the topics and the content, you can be applied to that. For example, there's a course in visualization. How do you present data in a way that makes sense for your end user, right? Using graphics and other visualization tools. So there's a lot of great courses in that program that we're going to draw from. And then the leadership. Maybe you're thinking about how you want to advance yourself. Maybe you feel comfortable where you're at, you have growth opportunities, but you really are struggling with what does it mean to be a good leader or manager, and how do you develop those competencies? So we have a Masters of Science in Leadership, and they have an Essentials Leadership Certificate that we're going to be drawing those courses in for 12 units. And you're going to get courses and develop knowledge around what are the keys around teamwork, right? Not only doing a self-assessment about what your level of expertise is and what you bring in, competencies you bring in for leadership, but also how do you work with groups? How do you work with individuals? How do you promote people upward and have them achieve the highest level of work that they can that they have the ability to achieve? So these are really dynamic and very interesting classes because you're working and dealing with all kinds of these things. Even though you're an accountant or a tax professional, you're going to be in a position where you're going to be leading others. And so you want to have those key competencies. Okay. In this, as a part of your electives, remember I said you can take 12 units of electives. You can do internship. And in fact, we really encourage you to do internships if you can. Some people don't want to because they already are working in the profession and they're happy with where they're at. But if you're a career changer here's a great way for you to get an opportunity to get your foot in the door. Firms are always looking for interns or people to bring on a part-time basis or limited contract basis, whatever that is for them, their terminology. You can earn course credit for it. As long as the work that you have done is different, or the work you're going to be doing is different from work you have done. So if you don't have any background in accounting, that's an easy one. But if you've come in with some background in accounting, you'll probably want to choose work that you can learn from, right? Because this is a class. You have to have a 3.9 or higher GPA, which is our minimum GPA for good academic standing anyways. So if you're below that, internship is probably not where you need to spend your time and focus. It could be part-time or seasonal, full-time rather, employment. So seasonal, typically a lot of our students find internships from January through April timeframe, because that's when the busy work is happening. But that's not the only time, because we do have a lot of employers who are continuously recruiting from us for summer and fall interns. So with this change in the tax programs that happened in 2017 with the tax cut and Jobs Act, I got the letters wrong, Tax Cut and Jobs Act in 2017, it has kind of threw a wrench into how everybody's doing work. And so the firms are always busy. And so even their workload has changed, and so their staffing levels have changed. So there's a constant barrage of recruitment coming through our university. So yes, a lot of it is for California, but not all of it's for California, because they have offices in other parts of the country. As far as outside the world, the Big Four do have offices in other parts of the world. So there's that opportunity for you. And you don't have to be physically on campus to connect with these. We have a great Office of Career Planning that works very closely with our students. And so they're there to support you in your job endeavors. So totally really want you to do an internship if it makes sense. And if it's something that really is going to help you in your career advancement, let's do it. Let's talk about that. How do you take our programs? So I did mention that we do 3 modes of delivery. We're doing in-person, which is a given, but online and web conferencing. So online is asynchronous rather. So you move at your own pace. The pace that you move at is kind of dictated by your professor and how they lay out the course. You have a course shell that you will work on. You'll submit your work. You'll do your quizzes. You will do any class discussions through that. So there's a lot of things. The professors use different ways of connecting with students via PowerPoint presentations that are voiceover or actual video recordings. And some of them will actually set up class meetings where you can attend live while they record their lecture. So you can be live in the moment via Zoom, but it's not required if it's asynchronous. And then we have web conferencing. And I've got to say, if I could pat myself, my arms are hurting today because I've been trying to work out to be active. But if I could pat myself on the back, pat GGU on the back, when we had to shelter in place and move all of our courses online, remote, for those in-person courses, it was like that. It was seamless. Not to say that students didn't really like it at first, but we're hearing a lot of good positive feedback because we've been using web conferencing for a very long time. This is not our first foray into it. We have just amped it up this spring term to do a lot more courses in a way that is synchronous. So students who physically can't come to campus, but want to get that kind of in-person experience can attend via Zoom. So in accounting, almost all of our classes have a web conferencing component, an in-person component and a web conferencing. And then there are some courses that are online synchronous, asynchronous only. So there's no web conferencing component. But we did this seamlessly. The transition went really well for our faculty and for our students. So I'm really glad. And other universities, as I have a lot of colleagues in state universities around California, and I've heard a lot of complaining about the move and how they were transitioning and how much of a struggle it was. So we didn't have that problem. Here's a sample of what our online course shell, the term that I use, we call this e-learning. This is what it looks like. And this is just a sample. but they're all kind of set up differently based on how the professor wants to move through the class and in the materials that they cover. So this is just a snippet, and this is only like the first week. So you'll have your syllabus put up here. You'll have the online classroom. So there's videos on here, PowerPoint, there's assignments. All of this is done remotely. And so you don't have to come to campus at all. So for the web conferencing or the asynchronous classes, there's no in-person attendance required. Everything's done through this. If you're taking your exams, we do proctored exams through a proctored service. So that's easy for you to do. You just schedule it and you take the exam through your remote, wherever you're at remotely. We do a lot of professional events, whether you can attend these in person. If you're not in person, we do record most of them, and you can have access to them to watch them, and you'll even have access to probably the older ones that we did previous years. But we do some really, a lot of events around the fall term. So starting late July, we'll be doing a lunch and learn workshop. And these are workshops that cover topics from soft skills, recruitment, resume writing, and they're taught by our industry professionals. Some of them are taught by our internal team, faculty, staff, but the majority are taught by people from the industry coming in, whether that's Moss Adams, BDO, EY. They teach some of these courses. They're 1-hour courses during the lunchtime. And again, they go from the soft skills to technical skills. So there's a whole range of different workshops. And if you're attending via Zoom, you can do that. If you don't have the opportunity, because maybe you're doing work during the 12 o'clock hour or something's going on, you can go back and watch the recorded session. So the information is really important, and it will help you as you start to develop in your career. We also do some industry-related panel discussions. There's a variety of them that happen throughout the year. And in fact, unfortunately, we had a lot planned for the spring term, but they got canceled because of what we're dealing with now. So hopefully we'll be able to re-engage some of those programs and organizations to hold their events later in the year once we get beyond the shelter in place. So the practice business luncheon and the career fair, here are two major events. If you're going to make a trip to San Francisco ever, the day, September 19th, I think it is, or the 20th, whatever that Friday is the day that you want to do it. Both of these events are on the same day. The morning part starts off with the practice business luncheon. This is a networking luncheon where you are seated at a table with equal amounts of students and employers, and you get to practice networking and talking and interviewing over lunch. And we do this on campus. And then later that afternoon, we have the actual career fair. So those employers who are seated with you, either their firms or they themselves will be representing their firms at the career fair. So you have lots of networking opportunities. And so if you're going to come to California to visit in the campus or come to San Francisco, maybe you're on business, that would be one of the days I'd love to see you here. All of these events are free, by the way. And all of the events that I mentioned here, these are just a few of the many, many events that we do. And when we do other events with outside organizations like Tax Executive Institute or the Legal Assistance for Seniors, or Cal CPA does a lot of events at Golden Gate University. Cal CPA is the professional organization of California CPAs. Once they do a lot of organization, and they provide free membership or admissions to our staff and our students. So you're going to be getting access to a lot of other things that I'm not even going to mention because there's just so many. That was another hour in itself. So you will have a lot of opportunity. Support services. Okay, so you can't do this alone. I'm going to tell you that right now. Square up, you can't do this alone. You need some support. You don't know when. It may be not now. It may be towards the end of your program, in the middle, somewhere. I can say from my own experience, working full-time, having a job, going through a doctorate program, having children, all of those things, becoming ill, having elderly parents, all those things kind of crash down on you at some point, and you're going to need support. And that's what we're here to help you do. We don't want you to fall behind or get stuck where you can't get unstuck. So I call it wraparound services. There's advising. Once you get admitted and into your program, you're going to be set up with a graduate advisor that's going to work with you to plan your program from start to finish. We have tax and accounting tutors. Can't physically come to campus, you can access them via web conferencing. Office of Career Planning, I cannot say enough about them. Here's a sample of some of the resources that they offer on their website. There's tons of material and support, and they do video, or they'll do web or Zoom calls to counsel you, help you prepare for an interview or anything that you need. They're there to support you, and they work closely with us as a department. They really help us put together the practice business luncheon and the career fair. So they're a big supporter of our programs. And then of course you need financial aid perhaps. How are you gonna fund it? Is your employer gonna be able to pay? You know, are there other funding options so that you pay the least amount out of your own pocket and that hopefully you can find financial resources. So financial aid is a great resource to have. And then getting involved in the university. We have clubs and organizations. You can do it remotely or you can do it in person. VITA is one organization that we really have been promoting. It's a voluntary income tax assistance program. It helps elderly, low income, anybody low income actually, help them file their taxes. And whether you're an accounting student or a tax student, it doesn't matter. You'll go through trainings from the IRS, you'll become certified, and then you get to help complete tax returns for anybody who comes in through the VITA program. We had to put it on hold because of course of the situation. But last year they did over 100 returns. So that's really wonderful. And this is our third year doing this. And so it's been really popular. So you can do that. Unfortunately, at this point, we can't do it remotely. So you have to physically be on the premise to do it, but it's an opportunity to get involved. Okay, I've been talking a lot. Now I'm going to turn it over to Chu to kind of walk us through some admissions and other information that's important about getting started.
Hello. Can everyone hear me? Okay, great. So with our accounting programs, GMAT is not required, GRE is not required. That's only required for our MBA program. So you don't have to worry about submitting those. We will need your official transcript with degree verification. Ideally, you would have a GPA of 3.0 or better, but even if you have a GPA below that, you're still welcome to apply, but in that case, you would need to submit a resume and a statement of purpose, explain the lower grades, what happened, what has changed, your plans for success, and why you want to come study at GGU for our accounting programs. Otherwise, the resume and statement of purpose is optional, though the resume is recommended. For international students or those who are non-native English speakers or those with foreign credentials, the English language admission requirement is expected, and some common ways of meeting that is if you have a master's or a bachelor's degree from a regional institution in the US or English-speaking countries such as Australia with at least 60 units, then you could submit your official academic documents for those, and that can be met. Or otherwise, if you have 7 years professional work experience in the US with increasing responsibility, you could submit a resume for that. Otherwise, we'll take TOEFL, IELTS, or Pearson's. And in the midst of this coronavirus pandemic, we've been trying to kind of help students, because I know with TOEFL and GRE, with the testing centers have been closed for a lot of places. So students can now take it remotely from home through ProctorU for most countries. We're accepting Duolingo with a score of 100 during this time. So those are the admission requirements. Another option students can have if they're not sure which program to go for is you could take classes through open enrollment, or you could get started through open enrollment while your application is pending. Note, open enrollment is not possible for J1 or F1 international students. Another thing about open enrollment, up to 9 units of graduate courses taken through open enrollment can apply for our degree or certificate programs for relevant courses with sufficient grades. So I had mentioned the English language admission requirement. Again, that's one of the requirements, and you could see the different ways of meeting it on our website. So in addition to the English language admission requirement, there's the English 2-1 graduate writing program proficiency requirement, making sure that students are able to write at a graduate level and not just, it's more than just being able to speak and understand English. We spoke with employers, faculty, as well as our advising committee, and this was a very important skill to have. So students can meet this different ways. If you have a U.S. bachelor's or master's degree from a accredited institution in the U.S. or an English-speaking country, this can be waived. Otherwise, if we do have an English 2-1 proficiency test you could take to see if you could pass out of the course if it's not already waived for you. And if you pass it, great. If not, then they'll let you know which writing course you place into. And for this requirement as well, you can find more information about it and different ways to meet it on our website. So there's different ways of financing your education. We do offer federal financial aid, in which case if you're interested, you want to fill out the FAFSA application at fafsa.ed.gov using GGU's institution code listed there, as well as filling out GGU's financial aid application. We also have state aid available based on merit as well as need. If you're a military student, we're a yellow ribbon program, very military friendly, and so you could possibly attend GGU with zero out-of-pocket costs. So for more information about that, you could email va@ggu.edu to speak with the VA certifying officer. We also have different scholarships and grants available. We actually got approval for our international student scholarship for fall term, and we also have some for summer term as well. But more information about the different financing options, including scholarship, you could go to our website, and the financial aid office could assist if you're looking into private or alternative loans also. Rocco had mentioned if you have an employer who is willing to help with your education, we could work with you and your employer on employer reimbursement as well. So for GGU School of Accounting, the tuition rate is $1,090 per unit. It's a little higher if you decide to take any tax courses, like for the tax certificate. So students could either pay in full at the beginning of the term once they're registered, or set up a monthly installment plan, or use one of the other financing options that I had discussed. The tuition doesn't include the fees, such as the 85 technology fee per term. There is also a $65 application fee, but for everyone in attendance, that will be waived. We'll be emailing out the application fee waiver code after the webinar, so you could apply for free and save that. So GGU, we're on a trimester system, fall, spring, and summer, and we accept applications on a rolling basis. Our next available term is summer term, which starts on May 10th. So if you're interested in starting right away for summer term, it's highly recommended you submit your application and required application documents as soon as possible. The priority admission deadline is 15 business days before classes begin, so that you could get into the classes that you need and want. and you would want to take any placement exams if necessary at least 10 business days before the start of the term, so we get the results in time and put you into the appropriate classes. And registration had already opened, so again, I would highly encourage you to apply and submit your application as soon as you can. You could apply up to a year in advance. And then if you do have further questions, you could contact School of Accounting at accounting@ggu.edu, or call them at the number listed there, or you could contact me directly and my email listed there as well.
Thank you, Chu. We did cover a lot of information today, and this is being recorded, so you will get a recording of this to go back and review all the things I said, which were I probably talked really fast. That's the Italian in me. And I used hand gestures, but you probably didn't see all of them. So if you have questions, please reach out to us by accounting@GGU. Chu is available as well. We just want to make sure you get your questions answered so that you have the right information to make the best decisions for you. I'm going to stop sharing this now, and I'm going to open it up for a Q&A, and I want everybody just to ask questions as much as you can. If we go over, we have like 7 minutes to the top of the hour, but I could go over a little bit because there's another meeting after this, and I really don't want to go. So if you keep me busy, I have a good reason. So ask questions, and I'll hang out. And you can chat your questions in the chat box. I'll read them out loud so that everybody can see and hear the response. And if you have questions that come up afterwards, you know where to contact us. I'm an international student and I'm interested in fall 2020. Can you please tell me is the deadline for application? So Chu, do you want to answer that as far as the deadline? But I would say start now. And here's for international students, I think Chu alluded to this, but I want to stress with a certain environment the way we are, and even previous to this, you know, with the federal administration's perspective on international students coming here, working here, there's a lot more rigor in getting an approved visa, and it takes more time. So for fall, start now, apply now, because you'll need that time to work through whatever appointments you need in your home country to get your visa. What we have heard is that, especially with the COVID-19, they're not really doing anything, and it's taking several months versus weeks to even get an appointment. So plan now. Do you want to add to that too?
Yes. No, I would definitely echo what you're saying. Again, you could apply up to a year in advance, so get started now, sooner the better, so that you have more time. It's definitely going to depend on where you're from, the different visa time, and right now a lot of it is stalled, so get started now. We'll work with you instead of trying to wait till the last minute and then not being able to get a visa appointment to come and things like that. So sooner the better.
So is there like an actual deadline when somebody, an international student or any student, cannot apply for that coming term?
So I recommend for both international and domestic students to apply at least 15 business days and submit your required documents at least 15 business days before registration opens, even though the priority admission deadline is 15 business days before the start of the term. But let's say you submit your documents later than intended, we'll try to review it for the term that you want. But if, let's say, we didn't get it in time, then we could review it for the following term.
I hope that answers your question, Aiko. If I mispronounce names, I apologize. Anyhow, Preshe says, I'm a full-time employee with an accounting firm. I work 2 busy seasons a year. Does this degree program allow for semester breaks if needed? Yes. So you don't necessarily need to take classes each term. It's obviously going to prolong the time it takes you to complete the degree, the more breaks you take. But, you know, however that works for you, it is what it is, right? As long as you don't miss more than 2 consecutive terms. So let's do a little hypothetical here. Let's say you start for the summer term. You take 1 class. or up to 3 at the most. By the way, full-time is 8 units, and all of our units are 3, so that's 3 classes. That's a lot, and if you're working, that's madhouse. That's like, you're crazy. You're going to need more support. Students do it. I don't know how. I could never do it, so kudos to you if you can do it. However, you can take like 1 class, for example, and then let's say fall term, which starts September 6th for us. Yeah, you're like, I'm busy. I can't take classes, so you're gonna like, I'm out. So you don't take a class. And then spring comes, and you're like, I'm busy. I can't take a class. I'm out. So then you have 2 terms. You got to come back by summer, or we would withdraw you from the university. Is that a huge thing? No, not really. If you get withdrawn and you return within 2 years, it's a really quick, easy process. If it's beyond 2 years, then it's another application process. But we really want to hold your hand and get you through it, so it's not going to be devastating. But there's a lot of students like you, Preshe, who work and cannot take classes every term. So we're flexible. There again is an adult learner. So the adult learners are not like traditional learners where they just take classes term over term, right? Julia, if you want to ask a question by unmuting your microphone, have at it, please.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sweet. So my question is that there was mentioning of the intermediate accounting courses and how a few of them you need to have a B or above. Was that if you don't have an undergrad for an accounting course, or you have to have that regardless?
Regardless. So you have to have a B or above. And if you don't, you have to retake the class through us or community college. And some of those courses might be a prerequisite for some courses you take in your first term. So that could be a little bit mucky, but we'll work with you.
Okay, because literally that's the only class. That was the issue. I have straight A's across the board except for that one.
Which one class?
Intermediate accounting too.
Oh, everybody gets stuck on that one.
Yeah.
But we could talk about that, and figure out how to get around that. Well, not get around, but get that taken care of.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Great questions. Being international, what is the GPA requirement to apply for the master? So the minimum GPA is a 3.0, but hold your horses. If you are below a 3.0, we'll still review your application. But here's what you got to do. You got to send us a statement of purpose saying, I did not achieve 3.0 in my undergraduate program because, and list and just describe what happened. We all have life stories. We all get it. Adult learners don't come with other, situations and life experiences. So we understand that not everybody, in my undergraduate degree, I'm not going to even tell you what I earned. It's like devastating. I can't even believe I got through a doctorate. But because my undergraduate degree is not indicative of my ability to do things. And that's what you are. Once you get into a profession, you're like, oh, I love it. I wish I did this. I wish I took accounting in my undergraduate because I took history, or my parents told me to be a doctor, and I took biomed classes and biology classes, and I hated it. So those things happen, right? That's life. So write a story. Tell us what happened. How are you going to be prepared in a graduate program? If you've already been doing a graduate program, send us those transcripts because that tells a part of the story. If we see your grades and you're doing well, that really influences us. So a resume also, if you have got below a 3.0, even if you have above a 3.0, a resume helps us when we're reviewing. Are you using accounting already in the profession? Because if you are, it'll probably come a little bit easier for you as we go through some of these concepts. Just saying.
And the 3.0 is on a 4.0 scale. So if you're from a country or a school where they use a different system, one for foreign credentials will email you a customized checklist of exactly what to send, where, and how, because different countries have different academic documents. Like in Europe, it's the diploma supplement. So we'll let you know what we need. And once we receive that, we'll be able to evaluate it in-house to convert that GPA to a 4.0 scale. So it's, again, 3.0 on a 4.0 scale. We do also accept the course-by-course West ICAP report sent directly from West to GGU for foreign credential students instead of your official academic documents. And then we know with the coronavirus going on, there's a lot of schools that are closed. So what you could do in the meantime is email me or copies of your academic documents, and we'll try to review it to see if you could be provisionally admitted. And if you are, then you will have, you would need to submit your official transcripts or academic documents later on. For international students, you would need to submit that for your I-20. For domestic students, you have until your first term to submit that, and then we'll work with you on that as well. Just for clarification with one of the previous questions, for international students, it's highly recommended you apply and submit your required documents at least 60 days before the term begins to allow for, visa processing. And then another question we received is there's a student who's living in the UK and they were applying for a visa, but all the embassies are closed. So what you could do is you could start online if you like. Just note that if you do start online and then the office is open so that you could go for your visa interview, they might see that you started online, and so it might be a little harder to get a F1 student visa to come to study in the US. So there's, pros and cons with either, but you could contact me and I could work with you on your different options.
Thanks for explaining that a little bit more. If I know it's 3 minutes after the hour, I'm happy to stay on and answer more questions. But if you have to drop off because you're at work, I know that I think Chrissy said that she was at work when she first dialed in. You're not gonna hurt my feelings if you have to drop off. I will miss you, but I hope to see you again soon. I know Julia has one more question, but Ben has a quick comment or question. You are interested, Ben, in the undergraduate program, or the undergraduate accounting program. Either way, we'll make a connection for you after this call. We have, if you could just actually send me we have your contact information when you registered. So we'll send you information about the undergraduate program. Julia, please feel free to ask your question.
Okay, yes. One more thing is this is my last semester for my undergrad for accounting. Because of the whole COVID thing, we actually lost our professor, not like passed away, but they just were no longer able to teach the course. So someone else took it over. And now the grading scale for that course is not based on the 4.0 or 4-point grade scale. It's literally pass or don't pass, completion or no completion. And that's my my accounting capstone. How would that look bad on transcripts, or do I need to get some kind of letter saying that?
Don't even,
okay?
Nope. Don't even go through it. No, first of all, it's like a capstone class, so that's not transferable in any way to us. So pass fail is sufficient. But you know what? We are taking similar steps with our graduate or all of our students in our university because we understand that this is a very unique and rare situation that we're experiencing, and we're trying to make it as easy as possible and stressless as possible for the students. So we're actually even giving students the opportunity to declare credit or no credit so that it doesn't hurt their GPA and things like that, because this is a very unique situation. You have to work from home. You might have children, perhaps, I don't know, some of us do, some don't, but there's a lot of things happening. Even working from home is not the easiest thing. They think it's a life of luxury. It's not. I have to do laundry, I have to do dishes, like when I'm at work, I don't dirty dishes and I don't do, that much laundry. It's not sticking in my face. So there you go.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Please ask questions if you have them. If you think you've gotten everything you need, feel free to drop off. I'll hang out, but I have a meeting to go to. I don't care. Yes, Akash.
So I'm interested in applying for the spring 2021 intake.
The 2021, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay,
so
good.
Will I be eligible for the internships in spring?
Will you be so eligibility for internships? You have to have completed at least 15 units of your graduate degree before you can do an internship. But you always have opportunities to do internships. So if you start, did you say spring 2021?
Yeah.
So you can do it in the following spring if you map it out correctly, you can do your internship in the following spring. Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're really getting ahead of yourself. We're talking 2021. My gosh, I have to get through 2020 still.
I got to prepare from now itself. I'll be having my deadlines in September, so I've got to prepare from now itself.
Yeah, I totally agree. Especially international students, you got a lot more to go through than somebody who already resides here in the United States. So.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes. So feel free to unmute your microphone, ask questions, chat, whatever. We'll go until like 1:10 if nobody asks questions, and we'll just bid everybody goodbye. If not, if you have questions, we'll just keep going. I'm hoping you're going to keep me from going to that next meeting. Okay, so one of the questions I asked when we first started was, where are you calling in from? But I didn't hear from very many people. Can you tell me? You can chat in the box, or you can unmute your microphone and just tell me where you're calling in from. I know that Akash is calling in from India. Go ahead. Pressure?
Sacramento, California.
Oh my God, you're so far away.
I know.
And Ben is in the Bay Area too. He just chatted that. Wait, I missed somebody. Julia, you're from San Antonio. Woohoo. We have ties to San Antonio. San Jose, Milpitas. NYC, oh my gosh, who's from NYC? Hold on. Ryan, where's Ryan on this? Okay, Ryan, I see you. Well, I see your block. Isokojan is from UK. Cool. So we have a lot. This is like We Are the World International. I love this. Sunnyvale, that's not too far. Amman, Jordan. Okay, I don't know. I'm not good in geography, so I don't know who's farthest. Are you India or Jordan? I don't know. If I had an award, I'd give it to the furthest person. Well, you're from India. Yes, Akash, I got that one. Okay. Well, that was a fun little game. I wish I had prizes. You're gonna get $65 off of your application fee. That's my prize to you. I'm gonna give it to make sure everybody gets $65 off their application fee. Wonderful. Okay, so we're like almost at 1:10, 1:09. Again, if you have questions that come up afterwards, please reach out to us. It was been a real great pleasure having you on this call. I hope you got everything out of it that you were hoping to get out of it. But I look forward to seeing you somewhere else, whether it's via Zoom or online, anywhere, in person. So have a great rest of the week and be safe, everybody. Shelter in place, protect yourselves, and be well. Ciao.